We're now in the 12th Perek of Melachim Beis, and here we have the story of Yehoash. Yehoash is the king, and he takes kingship at the age of 7. The only thing that we start off by knowing is that he's 7-year-old as a king. Developmentally, he is at the bare bone minimum of what to be expected for a king. Remember, he lived for the last 6 years of his life. He lived in the Kodesh Kodashim, or nearby the Kodesh Kodashim, in the holiest Beis HaMikdash. And so clearly we have to understand, what does that translate into? What kind of king is he going to be? Who does he become? And essentially, what we're going to hear in Pasuk 3 is Vayas Yehoash Hayashar B'nei Hashem. Kol Yamav. All the days that he's alive, he does what's righteous in the eyes of Hashem. That's to be expected. But here's the unexpected part of the Perek. Asher Harahu Yehoyada HaKohen. As long as Yehoyada the Kohen was in charge of him, and perhaps the spiritual leader, then Yehoash was terrific. He did everything that was correct. However, what that alludes to is that when Yehoyada is not around, he becomes a disaster. Now, that's number one, fragility number one. Fragility number two, Rak habamos lo saru. Okay, so he does really good stuff, and he walks in the eyes and the ways of Hashem, but he still doesn't take away the bamos, which we know is a really bad thing. Now, why is that? Why doesn't he take away the bamos? So we said, because he's afraid that people will then come to Yerushalayim and they will not seek him, and they will perhaps be inspired by the Beis HaMikdash. And if they're inspired by the Beis HaMikdash, then he loses his kavod. So losing his kavod is clearly something that is going to be, the kavod of Yehoash is going to take him away from Hayashar B'nei Hashem. Okay, that is fragility number two. But now let's see, what has he actually accomplished? So first of all, he has some level of makir tov to Hashem, because he is realizing that, why is it that the Beis HaMikdash looks the way that he does? There are definitely areas that need to be improved. Atalia left things, not only did she purposefully destroy, but she also left things really in a bad position for the Beis HaMikdash, and it's not appropriate. This is a place that allowed him refuge. This is a place that he cares about, and he doesn't understand how all the donations were going. They weren't going to bring to the Beis Hashem beautiful rejuvenation and renovation. Instead, what did they do? They would take the money and they would use it for karbanos. They didn't know that they were supposed to be using it for the betek habayis, and so he says, no, this is how it's going to be. Whenever a Kohen receives the money, they should take the money, and it should be used, the betek habayis l'chol asher yimtza sham betek, whenever there's a damage. But that wasn't doing it. The people were not using it for the repair, and in the 23rd year of King Yoash, it was found out that the Kohanim did not make any repairs to the betek habayis, and that is not good. So Yehoash sees that, and he tells Yehoyada, what's going on here? Why didn't anyone use it? And so from now on, you are not al tikhu kasef ma'es makarchem ki lebetek habayis titnenu. Do not use the money anymore for karbanos or for yourselves, but rather it should be donated for the Beis HaMikdash. Now, vayatu hakohanim lebilti kachas kesef me'is ha'am. So the Kohanim agreed that they're not going to accept money from the people, or lebilti chazek betek habayis, or make repairs in the house. They're having nothing to do with the money. They're wiping their hands clean from all the money. And so here comes the first tzedakah box in history. Vayikach Yehoyada, so Yehoyada has a new idea. He says, you know what, they don't have to touch it. They don't have to do anything with it. Instead, he takes this big chest, he puts a hole at the top, he places it on the right side of the Mizbeach. So when someone comes into the Beis HaMikdash, then what are they going to do? They could just deposit what money, and that money is going to go directly to Beis Hashem. And so no one's going to be collecting it. They are able to give it themselves. And when the money is overflowing in the chest, then two people, the sofer of the king and the Kohen Gadol, are going to be the one to just come take it out, and that's it. They would count it. And they would weigh it out, and they didn't have to do, and they would give it directly to the Osei Malacha, to the people who are in charge of doing whatever needed to happen, and they would just pay them. They would pay the carpenters, the laborers, anyone that they needed to, the masons, the stone cutters. They paid for the wood, for the quarried stone, and for all of the repairs that had to happen, right? And but not for any of the goals of the Beis HaMikdash. And what was very interesting, Kol Kila Osei Melacha Yisnenu B'Chesku Bo Es Beis Hashem. They were given directly to the people. They didn't have to have anyone, no one's checking. They can give directly to the people, and they didn't have to worry about overseeing who's giving the money and making sure that it was dealt honestly, because they believed that it was. And that was exactly what happened, and it went, and it was something that showed Yashrus, they're doing a good job. Now we know, as long as the king was a good king and he is following the ways of Hashem, then good things happen. And look what's happening. The repairs are being used, the people are being honest and erlich, and it seems like things are going in the right direction. And so until Pasuk 17, everything is good. We have some sort of fragility, some sort of hint that there's something that's wrong, but everything is going well. The people are repairing, the people are erlach, the people are giving tzedakah, and he is following in the ways of Yehoyada, who he gives a lot of responsibility to, and everything seems to be good. And then comes a very bad word. Pasuk 18, Az ya'alech Chazal melech Aram. And then all of a sudden we have Chazael, the king of Aram, Vayilachem al Gas. He comes to attack Gath and he captures it. And now he has his eyes and he wants to go on to get Yerushalayim. What? What does this mean? Why are bad things starting to happen? Everything seems to be good, and we have a promise. As long as you're doing good, everything becomes good. So what's changed? So the word uz comes to tell us that there's the midrash that says that the people, perhaps the advisors, the important people, came to Yoash and they said to him, so, it happens to be, why is it that you were able to survive and live in the Kodesh Kodashim when no one else is supposed to live in the Kodesh Kodashim? It's not, maybe the Kohen Gadol gets to go there once a year. And some of the times the Kohen Gadol would go in and then would get killed because he wasn't, an appropriate king. He wasn't an appropriate leader, and so how is it that you were able to? You must be a god. And they said that to him enough that he started to believe that he was a god, and he started to let all of that go to his head, and as a result, he started to go and move further and further away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because when you self-aggrandize oneself, then what happens is there's not two gods that could be at the same time. And so if he's up, then Hashem is down. And as a result, they chipped away at the good part of Yehoash, and it turned him into someone who is not very good. And as a result, if the people learn from that, then they're not going to be good. And as a result, Chazal is given a lot of power. Now what happens is that bad idea. So first of all, he's already going down. Yoash, then the Melech Yehuda, takes all of the Kodesh, all of the holy vessels and all of the gold and all of the money that he accumulated and that was accumulated from many of the kings. And he decides that the best idea that he could do is to give a bribe to King Chazal of Aram, and so that will prevent bloodshed and slaughter, and it will be very, very, very helpful. And so he gives it all away. So now he gave away kavod because he put the kavod for himself. Then he gives away the precious treasures of the Beis Hamikdash, and he clearly has given away his kavanah. Now, unfortunately, there's another story that happens, and that story is going to take place immediately. What happens is that the Navi, Zachariah, who is the son of his special Rebbe, Yehoyada, he comes to give Musar to the people because things are not moving in the right direction. And as a result, they kill him. They kill him in the Beis Hamikdash. The blood starts to boil, and it doesn't stop boiling for 250 years, allowing and it's because it was such a terrible kifui tova. Yehoyada was the one to help him. He saved him. He raised him. He was his Rebbe, and he decides that it's a good idea to have his son killed in the Beis Hamikdash. Oh my gosh. I think it was also Shabbos. I think it was Yom Kippur. I think it was just everything coming in the level of Kedusha. And Yoash decides that it's a good idea to kill him in the Beis Hamikdash. And it kept boiling, and there was nothing anyone could do to make the blood stop. Clearly, that is so not Makar Tov. That is the antithesis of what we can allow for Jews to do. We are not like that. That is in in accordance with Moab and Ammon, reasons that we don't keep them in our nation, and we don't invite them in because it's just a terrible thing that he does. Now he is ultimately, what happens is there is a conspiracy against Yoash, and they assassinate him, and he is not buried in the. It says that he died and he was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, but not in the actual tomb of the Malachai David. And his son, Amaziah, is going to take over for him. And so we have that this is the one and only remaining guy in all of Malchus David. He is saved. He is watched over. He is nurtured in the Kodesh Kodashim, and he does well. And then the kavod and his own emotionality for being, perhaps considering himself as a god, putting himself first, led to very, very bad decisions. And those decisions took away from all of the amazing nisim that have happened to him. And it's all because it just started to get to his head. Whoa, I must be amazing. I must be special. If I'm amazing and I'm special and I'm the leader and everything is good about me, it just takes a turn. It doesn't allow for there to be Makar Tov to Hashem. Do you know you were saved? Do you know how lucky you are to have the life that you are leading? You have such opportunity. Everything is going well for you. What in the world was he thinking? But he no longer had his spiritual guidance, and he needed it so badly, and he doesn't, it doesn't continue, and as a result, he goes in that downward spiral, which suggests just how fragile, the right mindset is, and that it could very, very easily turn into something that is not healthy, and as a result, then all the great beginnings, everything that he possibly could have accomplished, and he accomplished a lot, but at the end of the day, it derailed his ultimate success, and it's a shame. And now we will continue with the next son in the next parak.